En compagnie de Bob Weeks, qui, auprès de la Canadian Professional Golf Association, reçoit aujourd'hui un prix amplement mérité pour l'ensemble de sa carrière sur la scène du golf canadien. C'est quand même pas mal, Bob, pour un gars qui a grandi jusqu'à l'âge de 12 ans à Montréal.
Yes, I did. I grew up in Montreal. I loved living there. It was a great spot. I still have lots of family back in Montreal, and I can't say I played much golf when I was living there. I was a little bit young, but it's still home.
Bob, Lifetime Achievement CPGA, Hall of Fame in Ontario, Canadian Hall of Fame. Let's talk about your best souvenirs in your career. Who would you say was the best Canadian golfer?
The best Canadian golfer I saw was probably Mike Weir, and I was lucky enough to be there when he won the Masters in 2003, and that's probably the highlight of my career as a reporter. Covering that moment was one of those moments where you have to kind of make sure you're being a journalist first and not a cheerleader, and but it was hard not to be because it was a great moment in Canadian golf history, and it was nice to see Mike, who was a really hard worker, who I had managed to follow when he was an amateur golfer and through the Canadian Tour, and to see him win that was a wonderful moment.
I also remember seeing Mike lose against Vijay Singh.
I was there. That actually interesting point. We were covering the live tournament back in those days, and my job was to interview Mike as soon as he won. So I was standing by the 18th green. I was standing again at the 17th green in the playoff, and then back at the 18th green. And then I had to interview Vijay. And the first question I remember asking him was, you know, I think you won the tournament, but I think you broke an awful lot of hearts here today. And I think Mike, I don't know if Mike ever recovered from that one.
But throughout your career, what would you say is the best thing that you've seen technically or about the change in the golf industry as a whole?
I think the best part about the golf industry and the golf equipment industry is that it's become so much easier for people to play the game and enjoy it. The equipment now allows people who aren't maybe necessarily that gifted as a golfer to get the ball up in the air, to hit it a little further, to enjoy the game more. And I think while we see all these advancements on the PGA Tour and how far they're hitting it and how good they are hitting it with all these 59s coming up, these days it's really more about, I think the big beneficiary are the average golfer, the guy who plays Saturday mornings and can get a little bit more enjoyment out of his game thanks to this technology.
We're talking about a lifetime achievement, but it ain't over yet. I can only presume, I can only hope.
Yeah.
Any future plans?
Well, we're going to keep going with TSN. We're going to keep going and covering the major championships. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to do that, and I get a real thrill when I come back and work at the Canadian Open and people say, hey, you know, I loved what you did at the Masters this year or at the PGA Championship, and that means a lot to me when I hear from readers and hear from people. But I can tell you, when I started, we were working on typewriters, and now we're working, tweeting and Snapchat, and so it's come a long way, and we're doing a lot of different things. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it, so I'm still hoping I got a few more years left.
Well, Bob, hopefully you'll probably be able to do the interview with a Canadian golfer winning the Canadian Open.
I would love to do that. That would be the crowning achievement of my career.
Félicitations, Bob. Bien mérité.
Merci, Michel.